Okay, hi, welcome. I'm Charlotte from Charlotte So Natural, and this is Wisdom Wednesday. Although we are filming it earlier, today is actually Monday. But we're filming this because I'm going to be gone on Wednesday. More on that later. So anyway, today I thought I would just mention needles, sewing machine needles, because people get confused about that, and rightly so. Sometimes there are things to think about when you're buying a needle. What are you stitching with it? So if you're not stitching anything very heavy, like if you're just sewing quilting cotton and you're just stitching two pieces together, you really don't need a very big needle. As a matter of fact, it's better to punch as small a hole as possible into the fabric. So this is the smallest needle that I ever stitch with, and this is a size 60/8. It's the same 60/8. You could just call it a size 60 needle or a size 8 needle. It designates the exact same size, and it's just two different measuring systems, and I can't tell you any more than that. But anyway, so this is a universal needle. This is a Schmetz needle. We like the Schmetz brand really well. It's a universal needle. A universal needle means that it's not got a very, very sharp point, and it's not got a very, very rounded point. It's got an in-between point, which is perfect for stitching a whole variety of things. So that's the smallest needle. It also has a very fine, smaller eye. And that is particularly good when you're stitching with this clear nylon thread, which Kirsten might not even be able to capture this thread. I picked up the smoke, but see, it's like a hair. So that you want to use that with a smaller eyed needle and a finer needle that's punching a smaller hole. All of these needles, when you open them, they slide and they come back, so you can see the basic parts of a needle there. So this is the size 80/12, which is the most common size. This is what I sell. Most people, if they're just piecing two pieces of cotton together, I would suggest the 10 or the 12, which is also the 80 or the 90. So the 90 is larger than an 80. That makes sense. You can also buy different kinds of points. So this is the universal I introduced first. The next is the Microtex. So the Microtex is a finer point. It's an acute point is how they describe it. So it's a sharper point. It is particularly good for making perfectly straight stitches for quilt piecing. So that is a really good one to use. It doesn't mean that a universal won't stitch straight seams. It will, but if you're having any kind of trouble at all, you might want to switch to the sharper pointed Microtex. And they come in either all one size to a package or in multiple sizes. So 8 is the smallest, 12 is the largest, 60 to 80. So then we also have the top stitch needle. So remember how I mentioned that if you were stitching with a fine clear nylon thread that's as fine as a hair, you want a smaller needle. If you have a larger thread, like say a top stitching thread, which is a little bit heavier, then you want, in particular, a larger eye to accommodate that thread. It's also totally designed so that the needle has different parts, but so that the groove that's going down the front of the needle is also a little bit wider to accommodate the heavier thread. So that is called a top stitch needle. You're going to find some of the same qualities in a top stitch needle as you will in a jeans needle. So now they start talking about specifically specific use. So they're saying that this is good for penetrating extra thick woven fabrics, denims, or quilts if you have a lot of layers and you're doing stitching through multiple layers. So the 705 HJ designates that this is a jeans needle. The 703N designates that this is a top stitch needle, but they're both size 16. Then we get into the quick threading needle, which some of us need some days where we just absolutely cannot see. And I don't know, Kirsten, if you can pull up on that, but it has a little slot that actually, if you can't find the hole in the needle, this has a little slot so you can do it without being able to thread it straight through. So that's a very specialty needle. It's called the quick threading needle. Another specialty needle is the twin needle. So this needle actually has two needles on one shaft. And can you see that? And so that one, you thread two different spools of thread, go through that, and you still have one bobbin. So yes, if you have a zigzag foot that is as wide as this needle, this is a 4.0, that means that you can stitch two lines at the same time, and your bobbin is passing back and forth. One bobbin is passing between the two threads. So this is actually a stretch twin. So this is perfect if you're going to hem a t-shirt, shorten the sleeves or shorten the t-shirt, and you wanted to have a little bit of decorative, and also helps the seam lay flatter, but it's a stretch. So what they've done is it has actually a slight coating on the needle, which allows that to penetrate the knit and not skip stitches. So when we start getting into coating of needles, it gets kind of interesting, and our favorite needle right now in the store is the one that's designated the stretch needle, I'm sorry, not the stretch needle, but it's for the fusible products for sticky. So that needle is coated so that you can stitch through something that you've used fusible web with, and it helps cut down on, if not completely eliminate, the skipping of stitches because of the coating on the needle. So anyway, that's probably even more than you ever wanted to know about needles, but there is a lot to know about them. And so next time you think you need a needle, you might check out a store that has a whole variety and ask for some help on picking the needle that's right for your project. Have a great day.